Hello, welcome to the video series where I didn't have hair gel. Okay, thyroid hair sucks sometimes. Okay, so someone has asked me in my I have a list of all of the questions. So I'm just picking and choosing as we go because this is going to take a while. Why don't my test strips show ketones anymore? So this is somebody who clearly was using the urine strips, which I'm not a fan of because apparently I am very, very thrifty with my acetoacetate, which I used to think was called acetoacetate because I like to mispronounce things. Like I used to think Sepulveda Boulevard was Sepulveda. I still like that better. Anyway, so when you're in ketosis, you produce three testable types of compounds, one of which is beta-hydroxybutyrate. That's the primary ketone body that you have for energy and in your body, and it's tested in your blood. Acetone is a byproduct that is tested from your breath. It can also be tested sometimes from just smelling you because it seems to be coming out of your pores. But that goes away, thankfully. And the third is acetoacetate, which is in your pee. And so that's what you use the urine strips to test. Now, the thing about acetoacetate is our bodies are good at adjusting the levels that we have, which means that some of us never seem to make very much of it to begin with. And about 80% of us, once we become fat adapted, and so fat adaptation happens usually about 4 to 6 weeks after you start being in ketosis. So you might be in ketosis initially, and that's like woohoo, and people are like posting their pee strips online all the time, like pictures, and like when they still look wet, that's a little annoying. Like, okay, so is that prudish or just, I don't know, it's just something like I don't know that I want to see the dribble. Okay, I digress. So at first, there'll be color on these urine strips, and that means that they have excess acetoacetate in their urine. Their body is producing excess. But our bodies actually regulate that, and so over time, as we get further into ketosis, it kind of backs up the amount that it produces, so we stop producing excess. That excess stops being in our urine, and when that happens, oftentimes those pee strips will stop showing color. And then I get a lot of people online who are very upset, and they don't know what they did wrong, and it's very much like an abusive relationship. You know when you're like in a relationship with somebody and they like won't talk to you, but you don't know why. Why aren't you talking to me? I don't understand what I did. I must have done something, right? Now it's like a codependent abusive relationship, but like, that's how they go, right? You're like, why won't you talk to me? Because I didn't do anything wrong, and now you're not talking to me. And this is how the pee strips go. They're all rosy and pink at first, and then you get to this place where they're not talking to you. And then like you have some friends who are like, I don't know what you're talking about. My pee strips still talk to me, and it must just be you. That is not a good friend, by the way. You don't want those friends because those friends are complicit to the cycle of abuse that you are in with your pee strips. So here's the thing. I just don't think that they work very well for, I might pick that up, for a lot of people because at least some of the statistics I've seen, I've not done these tests myself. I can't verify these statistics, but a lot of the statistics that I have seen have said about 80% of people stop testing positive or go back to like trace after a certain number of months. And so because of that, I'm like, just let's not set you up for failure and let's not really rely on the pee strips, okay? I do recommend, because I do like testing, because I am a geeky, I do like testing everything. Just why not? And you can tell by the state of the sides of my fingers. I do beta-hydroxybutyrate testing, aka finger prick testing. I use a lancet. It pops the side of my finger, doesn't even hurt at all. Squeeze the finger, a little drop of blood comes out, put it on a little test strip in a little test meter, and it tells me how much beta-hydroxybutyrate I have in my blood. So that's method one, and that's a good method that is consistent. The second one is you can do breath testing, which is via how much acetone you're exhaling from your lungs. And so in this example, some people use cheap breath alcohol meters. I don't know that those are very well calibrated. So I don't really trust them. They're kind of, to me, like the breath version of peestrips. However, there's ketonics, and there's the newer one called Level with only one E, Level, which is a fancy machine and much easier to use, but a little pricier. So those are the breath ones. If you refuse to prick your finger, there's a new. There are three in the United States. There are three types of blood testers. There's the precision. I always forget the third one. It's like they're called the Nova. There's a Novamax. That's right. The Precision Extra, the Novamax, and then the new one on the market is called Keto Mojo. And the Keto Mojo is actually the only one that's marketed for people in ketosis. The other two, they test the same thing, but the other two are marketed to diabetics, which means you have to deal with kind of big companies like Abbott and the other one. I don't know. Because they are not as thrilled about the ketonians using them for their purposes, and so they don't give you good pricing. So Keto Mojo is the way to go on that one because they do good pricing. Okay, so that is testing. Why does my peestrips not work? So hopefully that answered your question about why or why not to pee on things. All right, bye.